And we're live with three people who need to get done within 90 minutes. Through the Keirsey protecting. We're going to, as we go along, folks, we're going to make some comparisons to the Enneagram Type 6, this one here. And
oh, that's overwhelming. That's like really busy.
We might every now and then we might have a look at a little bits, but the main focus of attention is going to be the Keirsey. Now, before we get started, this is Emily's artwork. There we go. I'll quickly go through this because I was just thinking last night about the number of creative people who are guests on this channel, and then Victor saying that it's like the creative subtype of people that are attracted towards his school of socionics. So that's Emily saying she calls it. She doesn't give them names. She says she calls them demons 1, 2, and 3. Now have a look at her technique here. Now this one you're going to have to brace yourself. I mean, from a technical point of view,
is that a picture, Kalanko?
That is like, this was a commissioned piece of art. And if you want to get a little bit more NI, there's Sana's art. And there's just wanted to do a space theme. And then Catherine said that fours would love this. And then who's this, Jonathan?
That's you, Ben. That's it's funny because I've been watching stuff about the Unabomber and pictures of the Unabomber, and this reminds me of him.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. We know each other so well that I'll take that in my
that's not meant to. I don't mean anything by that. I'm just saying if you put a hood in that.
Hey, what about me? I said
it would be him.
This is like this is the punchline of me about 2 years ago saying that he had some facial similarities with a young Mussolini. So, you know, it evens itself out. Right. So again, folks, these are all the things on the home page. So all of these different categories. Lots of things. Now we're going to get to the 6. No, not the 6. The ISFJ. So Laura, if you would like to.
Can I say one thing? I think.
Go on, Jonathan.
I think next time Catherine's on, you should show her that picture of you.
Okay, yeah, she might say, "Oh yes, extremely unhealthy psychopath." Right.
Right. No, I have my own agenda there.
Okay. So, oh, I see. Right. The running theme of my type with Jonathan. Right. So, Laura, if you read through this and then just stop and go, hang on a minute, I want to talk about this. So, read and comment away.
Okay.
Stop.
Well, I'm starting at the top first. In the Stratoviscaya description, she wrote that the ESFJ. Did you mean to say ISFJ or ESFJ here?
Well, ISFJ. Oh no, sorry. That was from the previous profile. That's not relevant to this.
All right. But I mean, if they found out their children were given bad food at school, well, I mean, it depends on what the food is. If the kids just don't like the taste of it, but there's nothing wrong with it otherwise, like they're not going to get food poisoning from it.
Yeah, well,
I'm not going to alert the media, but if like if it's like food poisoning or something because they're not cooking it right, it's spoiled, or somebody's putting drugs in their food, yeah, I'm going to report it.
I think there's a little bit of comedic license in her profile. So, for example, there was a little bit, and we'll get back on track in a moment, folks, but this is a good joke, where she actually wrote that the ESFJ might inquire as to the possibility of getting around the tax when buying something. So, right. So there we go, Laura. If you read from the primary desire, okay, stop and start whenever you want to comment.
All right. The primary desire of the protector is to be of service and to minister to others. It's not my primary desire. I mean, I do it. I guess I do it because I feel like I should do it. or I feel like I'm, obligated to do it, but it's not my primary desire. I'd rather just be independent and do my own thing. But here's service means not so much furnishing others with the necessities of life, the provider's concern, as guarding others against life's pitfalls and perils, seeing to their security. Now that part I do relate to. These ISFJs derive a great deal of satisfaction from caring for others. Again, it's not, I don't know, it's not my primary focus really. It's kind of more like doing it because I should do it. Kind of like, well, if I don't care for others, people are gonna think I'm selfish. They're gonna think bad of me. And if I don't care for others, how can I get care in return? Because it's kind of like a two-way road there. And they offer their comfort gently and helpfully. Yep, I think I agree with that. Quietly see into it that caretaking is scheduled. Well, I don't really schedule caretaking. It's just kind of done as it's needed to protect the health and welfare of those in need. Yeah, that's very important. Making sure people have good well-being. Yeah, that's really important.
We could set up a little system here. So, Jonathan, if you want to come in with a fantastic Enneagram insight, if you raise your hand, then Laura will see that and let you in.
So, Laura, which people are you worried about? Because you said that you're worried that people might see you as a bad person or something.
Well, just in general. I mean, society in general. I mean, it's kind of like, well, at work, for example, I work as a librarian in a public library. My job is very heavily customer service focused, and so you kind of you're providing service to others. I mean, that's kind of the essence. That's kind of the essence of the job, and they kind of expect people to kind of go that extra mile in helping other people and making sure we're providing the right service. So if you don't do it, people are gonna think, your employer is gonna think poorly of you. I mean that's one example. Or in my family, for instance, if I don't help out, I mean, I'm going to be seen as selfish. I mean, if I don't do my share. So,
I mean, is it the people in your life, like your employer and your family, or is it also society at large? Do you care about?
Well, I think society at large too. I mean, I don't want to be.
What's your main focus? Well, because what you're saying is stuff that's both social instinct and self-pres instinct. So
right, yeah, and that's another thing. Maybe that's a whole another hangout entirely. But it's like, Catherine Favre, she typed me as social instinct. She typed me as social self-pres. But then I've been talking quite a bit with Ben, and he sees me as self-pres.
I think you're self-pres social as well. Just
okay, yeah. So, yeah, but I mean,
you seem more concerned with how it'll affect your livelihood and welfare, and the welfare of those in your life, rather than things like your reputation or so on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh wow! There's a lot of words on this diagram.
Yeah. I will just say to folks that with Laura, INTP in MBTI Keirsey, LII in Socionics. And so the difference being that Laura tends to follow the rules so that she doesn't annoy anybody or get fired. When she's doing something on her own, there's sort of two things at play. One, she'll do things her own way, but not in a carefree manner, because it's like, I don't want too much to go wrong. So the preferences can come through. Jonathan's nodding there. Over to Jonathan.
Well, can you bring up the ISFJ profile again?
Okay.
Oh yeah, can you? Yeah, the previous slide, because I wanted
this one, Jonathan.
the previous slide. No, the very first slide.
The Keirsey one.
This one. That's the first one.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah. So
I wanted to comment on the comment. The lower right. SI minus is about minimizing discomfort. That is very key for me. I mean, and probably more so than maximizing comfort, because I'm like, you know, if I'm comfortable, it's generally good enough for me. It's kind of like, I don't need the most comfortable chair in the world. I just don't want to hurt myself. I mean, but if a chair is really uncomfortable, then I'll probably notice it and find a more comfortable chair. So, yeah, I'm all about minimizing discomfort. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
I'll just say something from a theory point of view. I'll let Jonathan get in a moment. It's just that from an information level, it might be that those people that have, in the type that they resemble, tertiary SI, they might be sensitive to both sides of it. So sensitive to discomfort and sensitive to comfort. It's just that they're very sensitive to it. It's just that the rubbish at doing it for themselves as much, unless they like try really hard. And then there's so Jonathan, over to you.
I was just going to say this profile is very, you can see a lot of 6 and 2 in it, and especially the self-praise instinct as well. Things like the acts of service and, well, the self-praise instinct can be both these things. It can be the provider's concern and the protector's concern. So, you know, it can be furnishing others. It can also be guarding others against pitfalls. The satisfaction for caring for others is more self-praise too, and offering the comfort gently and helpfully. That can be more self-praise too. Seeing that it's scheduled to protect the health and welfare is a bit more 6, and self-praise 6 in particular, I'd say. So yeah, overall this would be the profile of someone who has self-praise 2 and 6 in there, which is, I'd say, a pretty standard ISFJ profile. I can't think of many. Well, I can think of one person who types as ISFJ who is the type of self-praise 614. It's unusual, but in general, most ISFJs have 6 and 2 in the tri-type. So yeah.
Yeah, hence Keirsey's name, the Protector. And so should I move on, Laura, to the next paragraph?
Sure, because I think like I relate more to the 6 stuff, but not as much to the 2 stuff.
Right. Right, this is just general. This is just general Guardian stuff. Now, this is actually be interested here, and this is probably interesting going through this Laura review to see how you differ from this, because your temperament is NT rather than S3.
All right. As a variant of Plato's Guardians and Aristotle's Proprietaries, the ISFJs are a little different from the other SJs in most respects. Like all the Guardians, they are concrete in communicating and cooperative in implementing their goals. Well, I would say in communicating, I mean, it's both concrete and abstract, kind of depending on the context of the situation. I guess I prefer the abstract, but if needed, I can do the concrete. And cooperative in implementing their goals, yes, that part I agree with. They are interested in learning about commerce, not particularly. Are preoccupied with morality, yes, and work well with material. I guess it depends on the kind of material or the context. That's kind of vague. In orientation, they tend to be fatalistic. No, I don't really believe in fate. I mean, I don't think that things are fated to happen, but I think that some things just kind of happen because there's random chance. So not everything is in our control.
Well, I think by fatalistic he means more things are doomed to happen.
Yeah.
Like not so much destiny, or the more like they tend to be negative. That's what they're kind of. I think that's the reason we're going for.
Pessimistic.
Seeing how things can go wrong and like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that I do. Pessimistic. Somewhat, but I wouldn't say I'm overly pessimistic, because like I see a lot of possibilities. I see both the good possibilities and the bad possibilities, and I kind of go back and forth between the two. And stoical, I'm not sure how much that fits. As they guard the gateways and look to yesterday. I do think a lot about the past, but I'm not like so fixated on the past that I can't move ahead, if that makes sense. Guard the gateways. What exactly does that mean?
Well, it just means being very guardian, being very like, all right, are you the right person to come here? Like just being very super careful and guard the gateways. It's sort of metaphorical for being.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of fits. I mean, I like to protect. I guess I like to protect people from getting hurt. You know, I want to make sure there's enough resources. I guess I'm guardian in that kind of way.
Well, I was just to say to the audience that this is why it's important sometimes to. I mean, sometimes somebody's Enneagram is not gonna get in the way of getting their Jungian type, but in Laura's case, it's like INTP, but there's this strong E6 that will give her some qualities that resemble this profile, and that's why getting deep down into the motivation helps to look at the term.
They base their self-image on being seen as dependable, beneficent, and respectable. Yes.
Yeah, beneficence. I looked in the dictionary to see the difference between benevolent and beneficent, because NFs are listed as benevolent, and I think beneficent is more like actively kind in a practical kind of way.
Often seriously concerned about things. Yes. They trust authority. It depends. I mean, I guess in the general sense, yes, but I also know that, I mean, people can abuse their authority. They can abuse their power, and sometimes people are in positions of in authority and they're not qualified to be in that position. Yearn for belonging, yes. Seek security, definitely. Prize gratitude, yes. And aspire to executive position. Not really. I mean, I guess I think of executive position kind of like being the executive of an organization. I don't really aspire to that. I mean, I don't really care much about moving up the career ladder. But I do want to be in a respectable position. Like I want to be in a good position and not a bad position. And
I think maybe ISFJ resemblers might want to be in an executive position, in that they might care about the company. It's like, okay, I need to be in control of this to like keep these people, to keep their jobs and keep their livelihood. So it's like the motivation is. Well,
now that I could relate to kind of like, okay, this my manager doesn't care about the well-being of people. If I were in charge, I would do a lot better job of that. I mean, yeah, I could see that. I mean,
thinking about the long term. I mean, like I said, I mean, this is ISFJ. Laura resembles INTP, but it's like you can see the motivation there. Oh, I want the business to survive. I want to keep it going, rather than somebody who's like focused on expansion and where we're going to be in 10 years. It's like just keeping your head above water, keeping it stable. So that's what the differences can
okay. Intellectually, they are prone to practice logistics far more than tactics, diplomacy, and especially strategy. And Ben, I know you and I had talked about this, because in those areas of intelligence, I relate to logistics and strategy the most, even though they're technically, Keirsey calls them opposites. But for me, those do seem to be my strongest two areas, and I feel like I'm good at both. I'm probably the weakest in tactics. And diplomacy, it's like, well, I'm interested in it. It's definitely important, but I feel like I don't do it as smoothly as NFs do. Like sometimes NFs, like they're really, you know, inspirational and like they can get along with anybody, and like they can like these wrongdoers, these bad people, these mean people, they can kind of, you know, inspire them to be different and kind of work through that. And I don't have that ability. I wish I did, but
yeah, that is a superpower to like turn around an ESTP.
Yeah. Farther, being friendly or fond-hearted in nature, they tend to take up the conservator's role of protector and provider more comfortably than the tough-minded administrator's role of supervisor and inspector. Well, I don't know. I mean, let's see, friendly. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm pretty friendly, but I think I'm also kind of reserved sometimes. But then when I'm with people, I guess I appear friendly to others, but sometimes it's kind of like a role that I play. Fond-hearted in nature, yeah, I guess. Roles of protector and provider more comfortably than the tough-minded roles as supervisor and inspector. Well, I can do the inspector role fairly well. Like I can look at something and say, oh, you know, there's an error here. This needs to be fixed.
Jonathan, is that an E6 thing?
Or these numbers don't add up right. I mean, I kind of do the inspector thing. I would say that I might be a mix of protector and inspector. I don't know if I do the provider role that much. Supervisor, I mean sometimes I do that, but I don't think I can sustain that over a long term, and it's kind of tough to supervise people, especially when the people you're supervising are not cooperating with you. That's kind of stressful. I think I can do an okay job of supervising if they're going with what I have to say and they're cooperative. Then I can do a good job of it. But if they're not cooperative and if they're not on the same page of me, it's tough.
So Jonathan, is inspecting a sort of like a thing of like E6, checking things, making sure it's right.
Making sure it's safe, or making sure it's fair or equal. Those are more things, or finding out really the danger as well, that sort of thing. I mean, self-pres 6 in particular is kind of associated with a health and safety sort of thing, and security, one of the most that sort of realm. So it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, and owing to their sense of quiet reserve, they seem more comfortable acting as a protector than a provider. Yeah, probably. To visualize ISFJ intellectual development, consider the following graph of the most probable profile of their logistical roles. And again, I kind of mentioned that I think I'm probably, of those four, I think I'm probably strongest in protector and inspector. You know, probably the two introverted roles, and maybe less.
Yeah.
The provider and supervisor.
And of course, now the roles that the NTPs usually go towards are designer and modeler, or really designer, architect of systems, and architect of designs, and then there's the ENTP is more the inventor kind of thing. Although they can do trolling and comedy as well, and not just the inventor role.
Okay.
I'll
All right.
push this up.
There is a large proportion of protectors in the population, perhaps as much as 10%. And a good thing because they are vigilant in their protecting and seem fulfilled in the degree that they can ensure the safekeeping of those in their family, their circle of friends, or their place of business. Yeah, I mean, I am vigilant in protecting. Also, they enjoy assisting the downtrodden and can handle disability and neediness in others better than any other type. Okay, this I don't know if I quite agree with that. Like I mean, I care deeply about the downtrodden and like the disabled. Like I worry a lot about their well-being, like how they can get along in society, and are their needs being met. But I don't enjoy the actual process of assisting, that much, if that makes sense. And yep. I don't know how good I am at handling disability and neediness. I think it would try my patience, honestly. Even though, if you're doing that day to day, and so I kind of like care about it from a distance. I definitely care, but I don't know if I want to be.
In fact, I think this is a good example of with INTP, where you've got that high information for it, but you don't know the energy for it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. ISFJs go about their task of caretaking modestly, unassumingly, and because of this, their efforts are sometimes not fully appreciated. Yeah, I think so, and oftentimes I do feel like I'm not appreciated. But it isn't even so much caretaking; it's just working in general. I just kind of quietly work hard and do what needs to be done, and hope that my hard work is going to be appreciated by people. But I'm not out there I feel like I'm not out there actively self-promoting myself enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They are not as open and talkative as the ESFJs, except with close friends and relatives. Yeah, like I'm not really that talkative. I'm really only talkative if it's an area of something that really interests me, or like I need to get information from people. Like I'm not really that interested in just talking just for the sake of talking. Except with close friends and relatives, and sometimes not even then I'm necessarily all that talkative. I mean, I'm going to be more talkative with them than a random stranger, but it's kind of like, for me, it's almost more communicating more to get the information that I need, or to give information to other people that they need.
Right, I'm just going to quickly show the audience something. It's not going to be super sharp, but this is going to be quick. So this is INTP, and this is the idea of. So the bits underlined are the bits that very much fit me. So what you said there about small talk and all of these things, this is like INTP when they're on their territory. Can only keep the lively conversation as the topic if there's a personal concern to it. What are your feelings about small talk? Because
well, I mean, it depends on, I guess it depends on the topic, really. I mean, I prefer big talk.
Right. So do I.
Well, I mean, I prefer talk that's more intellectual, or maybe philosophical. Talk more about ideas. And it goes into that abstract concrete dimension, but I mean, I'm okay with, I'm okay with small talk, if I'm familiar with a topic. And I mean, if you're just getting to know somebody, I mean, they might find that kind of overwhelming if you go into the deeper, the more personal stuff, it might seem kind of weird, So yeah, you're going to probably do more of the small talk, at least at first.
You see, I was thinking that you might do more small talk than the average INTP resembler, because it's like that motive of wanting to fit in of the E6.
Yeah, possibly, but like I said, if all we're doing is small talk, I mean, it gets kind of tiring.
Yeah. You'd be better off, Laura, if you were ISFJ, because you'd have more
better because then they more clearly fit a type.
Yeah, but no, what I mean is that you'd be more better suited to execute your E6 needs rather than, because like you said, oh well, I think about it a lot, but I can't really be bothered. I don't really want to do it. It's like this tug of war between the things that you can concerned about, worried about, and then like the low SI in INTP.
Yeah. I guess I'm just an anomaly. What can I say?
Did we get? Is there any more to comment on paragraph 3? I can't.
How
far you got up?
Yeah. We didn't finish yet. We got off on a tangent here. With these, however, they can chat tirelessly and for as long as it takes to cover in minute detail everything concrete in their lives. Now, this is my mom. Well, except my mom, I'm not. I think she's kind of on the border of ISFJ and ESFJ. I keep going back and forth between those types, and but she'll do that, and it kind of bores me. But I mean, like something like typology, for example. Yeah, I suppose I could go in minute detail and talk about it and never get tired. But it would have to be something that really interests me.
But I think that might be because in typology, every detail is not far away from an idea in a theoretical discussion.
But their shyness with strangers is often misjudged as stiffness, even coldness. I don't think most people see me as stiff or cold. At least I try really hard not to have that image, but I think they might just think I'm quiet and reserved.
Right.
But I try really hard not to be seen as stuck up. When in truth, these guardians are warm-hearted and sympathetic, yes. Okay, and then on the side here, it says FE as an internally close range.
Yeah, internality.
Internality at close range.
Yeah, because it's got that lower row in the model G of ISFJ where you've got the demonstrative FE.
Okay. Oh, because it's at the bottom. Bottom row in that model G. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. And then in blue, part in blue, giving happily of themselves to those in need, although curiously their interest may wane when the recipient is no longer in trouble. I don't know how well. I
did think that was quite SI minus.
Okay. Very consistent with it. Oh, minimizing discomfort.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I minimize discomfort, but well, yeah, I suppose because, if they don't need my assistance anymore, then, then what incentive do I have to help them, I guess? If they don't need my help,
Jonathan, is that quite self-pres? And also, do self-pres people sort of project that onto others as well?
Yeah, which part is that again?
This bit, they're about the SI minus and when the other person's in trouble.
Oh, that's more too. That's more like when you don't need something, it's hard to. Like it's a desire to help people and see to people's needs. So when someone doesn't need anything, it's a little harder to connect for the two.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Okay, number 4. The reserve ought to be seen as an expression not of coldness, but of their sensitivity, or excuse me, but of their sincerity and seriousness of purpose. Yeah, I suppose. Like all the guardians, protectors have a strongly held work ethic, which tells them that work is good and play must be earned. I guess, well, I mean, I am a very hard worker, but and yeah, generally, work, work is good. You need to get done what needs to get done, and you want to be a productive member of society. But I also think that play and leisure is important, and I really advocate for work-life balance. And I don't want to be working all the time and not enjoying myself.
Oh yeah, so, because that's an SI thing where it's like seeing people. Yeah, but it also might be if you overwork yourself, you'll make yourself ill, and then you won't be able to work.
So right. I mean, so okay.
Right. So I'll. Did we get down? Oh yeah, even indulgental. So
the least hedonic.
Yeah. So the least about, and hedonic is very 7-ish. So it's like hedonism.
Yeah. Of all the types, ISFJs are willing to work long hours doing all the thankless jobs that others seem content to ignore. Yeah, I mean, I can work long hours, if something needs to be done. And sometimes I can do the thankless jobs that nobody else wants to do. But I want to be appreciated for it, of course.
Right. So what is your main reasoning for doing the jobs that nobody... Is it because that makes you more indispensable? Because like, I'm the one that will do this. It makes me safer because nobody else wants to do it and I'll do it, so they're not going to fire me.
Well, yeah, maybe because it's sort of like, well, you like if you take on the initiative to do those things, you look good, and you are. I mean, yeah, well, like Laura's a really hard worker. We're not going to fire her because she's, doing all these things, and then you're going to get a good performance evaluation. But I mean, it's not just that though. I mean, sometimes I just care. I mean, I guess it would depend on the job too. I mean, but sometimes I just care about the job in itself or the welfare of the company. So, and sometimes it's because, other people may find it as thankless but I literally don't mind doing it. And like I work in the library, for example, and a lot of people don't like shelving books. I like that part, I like putting all the books in order, and it is an important part of the job. And I kind of like putting order into that and then seeing that immediate result. So that could be an example. That could be an example there, and sometimes I'll volunteer. Like if my other work is done and there's not much to do, I'll actually volunteer to shelve a cart of books, even though I don't really have to do it because we have somebody else that's kind of a designated shelver. But when we're kind of backed up and we're kind of behind on that, I'll kind of volunteer to help out with that because I actually kind of like doing that. So,
Jonathan, have you got any follow-up questions there from an Enneagram point of view?
No, not really. I always say that I myself also kind of like putting things in order having a sense of satisfaction when everything's neatly aligned. I don't do it that often, but in small doses, just like every now and then, you know, keeping my bookshelf in order, all those things.
Yeah.
Your 12 books on Hitler.
How do you arrange them? What system? What method do you use?
Firstly, it's more than 12.
Oh wow!
No, it's like
Jonathan, you could start a library. You could have a library. And
well, like all my history books, obviously I don't just have books on Hitler. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, he's not a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, because I remember Ben in a couple of earlier hangouts and just randomly said, "Oh, Jonathan's got all these books on Hitler and stuff," and I thought, "What?" You know. Yeah, but yeah, I've got them all in chronological order. For example, like I've got 2 shelves that are, you know, they start. Where do they start? The medieval times, I think, and then they just go all the way to the modern era. And then I've got another shelf with all the Nazi stuff, the hardbacks. I've got a mini shelf with the Russian history. I've got a mini shelf with the Roman history and stuff. Got a miscellaneous shelf, I think, for extra stuff.
Oh, that's like me.
I've got a DVD. I've got a DVD library as well. So, like the top shelf is action stuff. Then the middle shelf is martial arts and superhero stuff. Then there's gangsters and westerns, and then a whole bunch of history DVDs. Then I think that's comedy, sci-fi, horror. Kind of miscellaneous, which is more drama and thrills and stuff. And at the bottom we've got opera and Shakespeare, and of course Disney.
Jonathan, do you want to? One of these days, will you like take a photograph of it and like show it to us?
Probably not.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I did that once with another group, but no one was interested. So.
Well, I'm curious though. I mean, I've got about 17 shelves.
Well, I could probably show you right now.
Go on then. I'm intrigued.
okay. Anyway, going back to.
Hey, wait a minute, Laura. This is more important.
Not.
This is the first. I've been doing hangouts with Jonathan for years, and then we get to see his shelves. Oh, very good, nice and stacked. This is revelatory. Wow. So where are you? Let's see. Have you got your history books there? While we're, are you going to get the David Glantz books? Like he is like hardcore on.
Here's extra stuff.
Excellent. Look at that.
And this is all the Nazi stuff. I do have a Kindle which is even more Nazi stuff, but more than just Nazis.
You got Stalin there as well.
Stalin's over here.
Oh yeah. Oh, I saw a picture though of Stalin on the spine of one of those books.
Oh, that was World War II.
All right. Okay.
In general, behind closed doors. These are more DVDs, like Red Dwarf's there. And
wow.
Flash stuff. Oh, crap.
Very good, Jonathan.
Romans,
nice.
4 Romans. And there's another shelf here that's just more random stuff.
Wow, this could be a highlight.
Yes, this is the highlight of your day.
Jonathan, can I pull this out and make it a separate video?
Why?
Okay, I won't. Okay, I won't.
No, really, why?
This is a bonus for people. This is just a bonus for the people that, and this is an example of why people should watch the videos all the way through.
I mean, I suppose you could if it's unlisted or something.
No. Right, okay, fair enough. That was very good. I like your shelves, Jonathan. Very, very good. And Laura, I mean, as a professional person who's well experienced with shelves, what do you give Jonathan's shelves out of 10?
9.9. I never give anybody a perfect 10 because there's always room for improvement.
Oh yeah, that is the way to troll a 1. I'm not giving you a perfect score.
There's actually a one where I've got some comic books and the shelf was put on backwards, so So yeah, there is an imperfect error, but I supervise them all myself. I supervise the construction myself.
Very good. So are you going to get the David Gantz books in future? Like
I have no idea. I don't know who that is.
David, what he is a retired American colonel, and he pretty much writes the best books on the Eastern Front. Like he'll cover Stalingrad, and like each book's like 3 inches thick.
Yeah. Oh, I think I vaguely.
He's
I
done a
think I vaguely know what you're talking about.
He's actually done a YouTube video about the Eastern Front.
Well, I'm not really interested in military history, so probably not.
Fair enough.
I do have some military history books, but I don't read them. So.
Yeah, just a quick point that the Russians liked him until he did a book called Zhukov's Greatest Failure. Right. We'll get back on track. That was revelatory. I thought Jonathan just had a lot of little thing going on. It was like a nice setup there. Quality shelves, very secure, not much danger of them falling down.
Well, I'm glad my shelves impressed you so much.
Yeah, I think they'd be good in California during an earthquake. Right, so I think we're on there. So Laura, you're somewhere in this first paragraph, I believe.
Yeah, I'm on. Okay. Oh, thoroughness. Yeah, I'm very thorough. I want to make sure that everything is taken account for, that nothing is being overlooked or missed, and you know, and I'm considering all the possibilities. And so yeah, through thoroughness and frugality are also virtues for them. Yes, like I'm good at saving my resources and making sure that I have enough for when I need them, and using them in moderation. When they undertake a task, they will complete it if all humanly possible. Yes. Well, I mean, I guess I should qualify that statement, because like if it's for my job, for example, or if I made a promise to somebody, you know, I don't like to let people down, and I don't like to break my promises. And I you know, I care about my job, and I want to do it well, and I want to be able to keep my job. So in order to do that, you got to be reliable. And so, yes, but if it's a personal task, if I'm only doing it for myself, then it's a little more iffy, because then I mean, I suppose I could get distracted. Like I start a personal project, and then something else comes along, and I'm only accountable for myself. Nobody is checking up on me. Then it might not get done, or it might get done, but it doesn't get done that quickly. I mean, I don't like to have incomplete projects. I do like to finish what I start, but if I'm not being held accountable for it,
then your INTP will come through.
I guess. They also know the value of a dollar and abhor the squandering or misuse of resources. I think abhor is a very strong word. It's kind of rather extreme. So I wouldn't say I abhor it. I mean, not quite to that degree, but I guess I do dislike it, you know, like people are just taking everything for granted and act like, oh, we can just waste all this, we can just get more of this, because sometimes things aren't easy to come by, or eventually it's not going to be so easy to get it. And oh, and then on the side here it says miserly could be seen as TE minus break. Again, I think miserly is a bit extreme, but I do try to conserve my resources. I mean, but I don't know if I do it to that extreme, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think this hangout's good for showing like how the influence of Enneagram type can make you look like a different Jungian type.
Mm-hmm.
And so
oh yeah.
just looking at the surface, people go, "Oh, look, she's so ISFJ." But look at the motivations and dig down into. So, what would Alina? You know Alina Ames well.
Yeah.
What does she say about you? Where it's like, "Oh, Laura, it's no doubt you're LII."
Yeah, that's what she says. Yes. Yeah. She definitely thinks I'm an LII.
I've seen you in videos where, because Alina let me watch them, of like when you had some of your meetings with the and I've seen you in those scenario being very LII when talking about the theory of it.
Yeah. Okay. These reserved conservators are quite content to work alone. Indeed, they may experience some discomfort when placed in positions of authority and may try to do everything themselves rather than direct others to do their jobs. I generally prefer to work alone rather than with other people, because when I'm working alone, I mean, I can assure that things are done my way. I don't have to negotiate with other people. There's no conflict, and there's no interruptions. And there's some discomfort when placed in positions of authority. Yeah, especially when people aren't cooperating with me, or they have a different agenda and they don't want to go where I want to go, and they're not listening to me, and may try to do everything themselves rather than direct others to do them jobs. Well, I wouldn't say everything. I mean, I would say, yeah, I try to do a lot of things myself. I do like to feel independent and self-sufficient and not always having to rely on others. But I think everything is a bit overkill. And, if it gets to be too much, or if it's something I can't do, then I will try to delegate it to somebody else. But I also think too that, I don't know, maybe I do take on too much myself sometimes, because I could. I mean, it's something I could give to somebody else, and I'm not asking. I didn't ask for them. I didn't ask for their help. Yeah, it kind of depends with that one, I think. Are you still there?
Yes,
it got quiet all of a sudden. Really quiet.
Can I? Yeah, it's. I've got on a couple of my devices. I've got connection problems. So, Jonathan, are you? Would you like to comment on the running theme with Laura? Like, oh, this bit sounds INTP, this bit sounds E6 and self-prayers.
Not at this particular moment.
Okay.
Not much to say.
Right, so.
Okay. Number 5. For all these reasons, protectors are frequently overworked, just as they are frequently misunderstood and undervalued. I often feel misunderstood and undervalued, but I don't know how much of that is just self-perception and how much of that is reality, because I am self-critical, and sometimes it might just be that I'm too hard on myself, or I have low self-esteem, and sometimes I feel like in order to feel valued, people have to explicitly tell me, you're great, you do a great job, and otherwise I may not know, I may not see it for myself. So
yeah, that's all quite sexist and maybe image type, because they want the constant reassurance.
Yeah. I need reassurance. Yeah. So probably I'm probably more valuable in reality than I perceive myself to be, but are frequently overworked. I don't know. This just kind of depends on the situation. I think I can be overworked because, first of all, I probably work harder than most people because I want to do a thorough job. I don't want to make mistakes. I want to do it well. I want people to value my contributions. So in that way, I can be, I suppose I can be overworked. But I think one difference for me with than some ISFJs is some ISFJs they can't say no to things and I think I might have a little more boundaries like if they want me to take on something and I'm just too busy, I got too much going on. I think I can easily say, I don't really have time. I don't really have time to do that. Or, so.
Yeah, we've got 4 viewers at the moment. 4 viewers. I don't know if you can write in the live chat because sometimes, the previous time I did this, the live chat didn't work and I had to go in and then eventually I saw the question. So if you have any questions, leave them in the chat. However, we've got about half an hour left and we're about halfway through. So did you get through order number 5, Laura?
Oh, half of 5. Their contributions and also their economies are often taken for granted and they rarely get the gratitude they deserve. Again, I'm not sure how much of this is reality and how much of this is just my personal perception. I often feel like maybe I'm not appreciated enough, but I don't know how much of that is actually reality. This can cause them to harbor feelings of resentment, which with their bottled up emotion gnawing inwardly, causing much undeserved suffering. Maybe there's some resentment over not getting enough appreciation, but again, I don't know. It sounds kind of extreme, I guess. I don't know how much suffering there is from that, although it's certainly nice to have that. It's certainly nice to have that appreciation, and to feel valued. I mean, that's important. Number 6, protectors are keenly aware of status given by birth, titles, offices, and credentials. I'm not really that interested in just titles and offices.
Right.
Credentials can kind of matter depending on what it is. Like I'm certainly going to respect you more as an authority. Like if you have a degree in something, but the degree still isn't everything, because even that depends on other factors. For me, status is kind of based more on your ability, your competence, like how good are you at it, and how much respect are you getting from other people, and that kind of can go beyond what your actual official title is. How much are you accomplishing? What's valuable? What's not? And that's rather than just some standard status symbol, like this person has this fancy car, and So I am status aware, but I think I view status a bit differently. They are impressed by visiting royalty and admire high-ranking politicians. They honor judges, the police, the military, and they tend to be devoted and loyal to their superiors. I wouldn't say that royalty impresses me much because you're just born into it. You have no control. They didn't do anything to get it. They just were born into it. And they admire high-ranking politicians. It depends on who they are and what they stand for. I mean, I'm not going to admire you if you're high-ranking, if you're just a jerk, or I don't like what you stand for.
So yeah, if we
they
can
honor judges.
There we go. Jonathan signaled the point.
Oh, okay.
Well, firstly, I like that you said it depends there, because That's something Catherine always says. It's a sexist thing to say.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah. See that. One of these days, I'm going to say I want to say it depends, but I can't because Catherine. Yeah, I think a lot of this whole part here is very old school E6 and old school SJ. It's like a lot of the older descriptions really do emphasize that sort of conservative 6 and a conservative SJ that's of a tradition and the way society is organised, even though a lot of SJs and 6s today probably don't relate to all this thing as much.
I'll just say that this book was published in 98.
Yeah.
Keirsey was born in 1922.
Yeah. So the book's new, but he's not. Yeah. I mean, Ben's got all this listed as FE, but it's really more broadly social instinct and type 6.
But I liked Laura's comments on it, where you saw a little bit of a difference there with like the NT temperament, where it wants to like think more for itself.
Well, even I was seeing a lot of younger ISFJs today, and maybe a lot of ISFJs, depending on how they're brought up and what their background is, they would be more critical of this. And it might also be a lot of type 6s will say that they don't like authority, or they're more skeptical of all these things, but then in the moment when they have to, they will be more respectful. They'll show this side, so they'll say one thing and then demonstrate something else, that sort of thing. So it may be a matter of how they act around such people, as much as whether or not they feel they respect them themselves. And that last part here, they believe in the safety of a traditional social hierarchy and do everything they can to uphold custom and convention. That's very old school E6 stuff. That not just hierarchy, but hierarchy for safety, like the security of hierarchy, security of tradition.
Yeah, see that part I don't really of the 6. I don't really fit that much.
That's because you resemble INTP, Laura. That's the whole point of this hangout. It's like getting the little differences.
Well, yeah, well, I want to say that there's a lot of ISFJs who also would not relate to it that much. Again, this is more stereotyping away. I have had these arguments on the internet with people who say that certain people cannot be 6s because 6s are the conservatives and they're the traditionalists and so on, and the people we're talking about are not anything like that.
I have a little theory now about when people say what is
conventional. But like maybe this is kind of like social. This paragraph 6 is kind of like social 6 in the extreme. And
well, no, even social 6s won't always relate to that.
No, but I think social 6 would be more likely to.
Well,
types.
Well, no, I can think of people I type as social 6 who would not like this at all. Who would object to this.
I'd just like to make the point that these days there's not a sort of a monolithic, this is the conventional way of thinking, because even for SJs growing up now, they'll have like different, like the TV and the BBC say one thing, and the universities more say progressive in quotation marks, and then of all these, there's different themes competing for mind space in them, rather than if they're in a culture where the message is consistent.
I think that in general, modern Western culture is more skeptical towards royalty and towards politicians, more skeptical of judges and police and military than it has been for a while. So that's kind of, there's no doubt the culture in general is more skeptical towards a lot of this thing. There's still aspects that are very respectful to it, but
in the United States as well with Watergate, that changed things.
Yeah. So
yeah. But yeah, I've seen these kind of Americans that do like want to talk about the royalty.
Oh yeah.
In Britain. But yeah.
Yeah, but they're not, I don't know if they're necessarily type 6s though.
No. Maybe 6s and
yeah.
But...
Okay.
I think they just like it because it's different.
Yeah. Or even a lot of American politicians, if they're like the Kennedys and the Clintons and maybe I guess the Trumps now as well, like there's a lot of pomp and ceremony around the big political families.
Yeah.
So there's some of that there as well. You know, like they have their own royalty.
Yeah.
Like, or the Kardashians.
Oh, can you scroll back up? I wasn't quite.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Laura.
Want to add a couple things about 6. I'll try to make this quick here. Keep going up. Yep, that's good.
Okay.
Honor judges, the police, the military tend to be devoted and loyal to their superiors. Well, I mean, I definitely respect them, and I understand the importance of judges, the police, the military, but I also understand that people in these positions can be corrupt, and superiors can also be corrupt. So, I mean, if the superior is somebody that I respect, yeah, I'm going to be devoted and loyal to them. But if they're corrupt, I'm not going to be. You know, I'm not one of these people that's necessarily loyal to the very end. Not that they think of themselves as superior. On the contrary, they're humble to the core and fine on putting on airs offensive. Yes, this is very true for me. I kind of tend to underestimate myself sometimes. And I think a lot of that was influenced by my upbringing. My parents were always saying, don't brag. Kind of like, you're not as good as you think you are. Kind of for better and for worse.
Yeah.
For the ISFJ, people should behave according to their place in the social order. Oh, I don't like that. Like, you're in this position, you stay here. You can't move up. You can't change it, you know. And they may be annoyed by others that act above their station. Well, if they think that they're better than they are, yeah, that's gonna bother me. Or like if they're trying to be the authority and they're not qualified to be the authority, that's going to bother me. But then if they're unfairly put in a low position, like they're unfairly assigned to being a slave, you know, and they're going to act like, well, I don't deserve this. You know, I totally understand that because I don't. It's not a fair situation, and they should be able to challenge that. They believe in the safety of a traditional social hierarchy and do everything they can to uphold custom and convention. Okay, yeah, I don't really relate to that. I don't really like traditional social hierarchies. Ideally, I kind of wish that we could just almost all be on an equal level and we didn't have to have hierarchies. That would be kind of nice sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed with a lot of 6s in general today, regardless if they're Myers-Briggs type, like they're more about equality and fairness, particularly if they're more left-leaning, I suppose. But he was
I remember when I first learned about the Enneagram, I typed myself as a 1 because I was, and you know, and especially with this part about equality and fairness. I mean that's so important to me, and doing the right thing. But when you look at motivations and stuff, it's clearly coming more from the 6 than it is from the 1. But
yeah, but I think, I mean, in terms of NTPs and like someone who's more libertarian, I mean, they want fairness in terms of, okay, everyone is judged on the same level playing field, where it's a meritocracy, and they don't like nepotism either. But yeah, in general, Jonathan's right about the. Bradley Rogers, Americans care more about the royal weddings than the British do. That's just a fact.
Americans care more about what?
the royal weddings than the British do. See, I wonder how much they're monetized.
That kind of makes sense, actually. Yeah.
I think there's more Americans that care, but just because there's 5 times more Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more Americans than British too. Yeah.
That's absolutely.
Yeah. See, I haven't followed any of that. I mean.
Well, I'm Britain. You sometimes can't help it because you know if there's a big wedding going on or a royal wedding or something, it will be all over the news. So you can't really help but notice.
Yeah, I avoid it though.
But overall, it's not as big a deal as it used to be. Still there.
Okay. Can I go
Yes,
on to number 7?
You may continue, yes.
Okay. Number 7, the same holds true at work. Protectors are dependable and are seldom happy working in situations where established ways of doing things are not respected. Well, I'm very dependable. Established ways. Well, if the established ways work well and people don't respect that, yeah, I'm gonna get annoyed. But if the established ways aren't very effective, then they should be challenged. To them, regulations are tried and true, and they rarely question the effectiveness of going by the book. I think I probably question that more than a typical ISFJ would. Although I do like it though when rules are proven to be reliable, because that does provide security.
One thing
But ultimately, it's more important that these rules make sense. These rules are needed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
one
ISFJs often. Oh, you can go on and say what you're going to say.
One thing I've often thought about is how if a type 6 is raised in a tradition or the loyal tradition that emphasizes thinking for yourself or is skeptical of authority, that can kind of play into it. Like sometimes they say they're skeptical and distrustful of authority because that's what their authority says. Like if they're part of a particular political movement or a subculture or something, those are all things. And there's also where you get, if they're counterphobic as well, I've seen people who insist that their particular beliefs are not religious, even though they seem to have a certain religious fervour to them, to what they're saying, either because they identify as very free thinking and that they see that as antithetical, but also because they've been told that that's not the same thing. Like they've been told by their authorities that what they're doing is not this, it's that, it's different. And it's different because their authority says it's different. So yeah, that was just a random thought that I wanted to do.
Talking of 6s, we could do an interesting video in the future on Vladimir Putin.
Well, I've read a biography of him, so I suppose I could.
He's an LSI and
Yeah, but he's a Type 6 LSI.
A Type 6 LSI counterphobic. Yeah.
Well, he's probably more. He's probably more in the middle.
Oh, more in the middle. Yeah, but he probably displays both. You know,
he's counterphobic in the sense that he'll talk tough and shove his muscles and involved in extreme sports and stuff, and he'll do pretty extreme things, but at the same time he's got a strong respect for authority and order and consistency and stuff, whereas like the extreme counterphobic 6s are the ones who are rebelling, knee-jerk rebellions against authority. Like the authority says it, so it must be wrong, and marching against it and blow it all up, so on.
Okay.
So,
I'll just quickly show. Just take a. I'll put there in TI plus. So this is for SEI, and this is the bit that makes it sound like Keirsey, ISFJ, especially. If you see this bit here, I'll read this out in case my writing's too messy for people. A rigorous procedure is not an obstacle for him, as will be able to understand any stable system. Clearly designed instruction, clarity of the situation. This is from the Google Translate. Will keep records to take into account all the formalities. If indeed necessary to comply with the procedure, study manuals, special books, charts and tables, and so on. So this is the Galanko SEI, and it's quite Guardian-ish in that respect to the TI plus. So back on track to, I think we were here. Yeah, well,
We were on number
7.
7.
Yeah, go
The
on.
middle of number 7. ISFJs seem to feel personally responsible for seeing to it that people in an institution or business abide by rules, carry out routines, and behave as they're supposed to behave. Well, I'm not sure that I'm personally responsible for all of it, but that might just be because I'm not in a supervisor role at work. I mean, I suppose if I was a supervisor, I would see to it that people were following the rules and behaving as they're supposed to behave. But this is provided that the rules, of course, make sense, and the rules are needed, and behaving as they're supposed to behave, like they're behaving civilly. And if others, including their bosses, violate or ignore these standard operating procedures, protectors are distressed and embarrassed, although they will not usually display these reactions. I mean, if people aren't obeying the procedures, I'm going to tell them that they're not obeying. So, I mean, I will display those reactions. And I suppose distressed or embarrassed, maybe a little, but I mean, it kind of depends. Again, this so much depends on the context. Like what rules are we talking about? Why are they acting as they do? How are they acting exactly? More likely, such irritation is turned inward and may be experienced as fatigue and as chronic stomach disorders. I don't have chronic stomach disorders. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Good. But that was...
I see Jonathan's got to go in 10 minutes, so should we try to kind of hurry?
Yeah, I mean, we can go a little bit past then. We've got about...
Yeah, I mean, you can continue without me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But
I got more time.
Jonathan, if you ever want to talk, just so you you put your hand up, Laura can, because Laura and I got a little signal where Laura will go like this when she wants to talk. Now, because I've done so many hangouts with Jonathan, I know his little signals when he wants to talk. He usually goes, so I know his we pick up each other's little mannerisms.
My poker tells. Yeah. I don't even know I'm doing them.
Right, so do you want to go ahead, Laura, with number 8?
Oh, yeah. Number 8. With their extraordinary sense of safety and responsibility and with their unusual talent for executing routines, protectors do well as curators, private secretaries, librarians, middle management personnel, and especially as general medical practitioners. Well, I do focus a lot on safety and responsibility, although unusual talent for executing routines, that might be a bit extreme. I mean, I am good at it in general. I mean, I don't know if I'm unusually good at it. And I think I could do well. Well, I could definitely do well as a curator, a librarian, a private secretary. I don't want to be middle management. I think I'd find that kind of stressful. And I don't think I want to be a medical practitioner either, but I don't know. I just not sure I feel totally comfortable working with people that have health problems, kind of like I might be a bit squeamish, and I'd be worried that maybe I'd make the wrong assessment or something, and then they would be even worse than they were, or sometimes people with health problems. I don't want to be responsible for, making a decision that could seriously impact their health, I guess.
This is the part of the profile I like for sort of like going beyond the stereotype of because people think of the ISFJ as the mother. And so it's like, this is like, okay, these are like look at these more accomplished ISFJs where it's coming through. as the medical doctor.
My mother's an ISFJ.
You know what I mean? Like, when people think of the profile of ISFJ, they think of the ISFJ motherly housewife.
Yeah, and
Again, that's just my mother's kind of that.
how well does your mother fit the profile?
Quite well. I tried. Like, I've tried to not talk about her though, because I know she would hate that. She doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, to be sure, the hospital is a natural haven for them. It is a home to the family doctor, rescuer of life and limb, and to the registered nurse, licensed practitioner nurse, the true angels of mercy. And again, I've kind of said this before. Like I definitely care a lot about people's well-being and their health, but I don't want to be the one actually administering it. It's kind of like information, but not the energy.
Yeah.
And again, I'd be worried that I wouldn't be doing a good enough job. And then what? You know, I make a bad decision. You know, I make the wrong diagnosis. I prescribe them the wrong medication. And then they're even more miserable, and I'm responsible for it. And I don't want that kind of burden on me. And I don't like to see people suffering. And you would see people suffering all the time. And the insurance industry is also congenial to these conservators. Well, again, I think it's important to have insurance, but I'm not interested in working in the industry. To save, to put something aside against an unpredictable future, to prepare for emergencies. These are important to ISFJs. Yes, like I do definitely value saving insurance in case some unforeseeable catastrophe happens and you are prepared. I mean that is important. I just don't know if I want to be the insurance agent. You know what I mean? Okay.
Right, I'll just, for something, because Laura does resemble INTP. There's just a little bit here on the SI and INTP there, folks. So modest requirements of comfort at home. Most important of them being it must have good conditions for doing the work it loves.
Absolutely, yes.
Usual everyday chores feel like a strain, but help it stay in shape. Good health is achieved mostly through moderation and a comfortable, unhurried schedule.
Yep.
Investing in its health and recreation brings added strength and more optimistic outlook.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with all that. But I still feel like I identify more with the minus of SI than the plus of SI, because it's a greater priority for me to minimize the discomfort is to maximize the comfort.
I think that's your Enneagram pattern and instinct.
But also because I'm a negativist too.
That's a good point, Laura.
Okay, I've got to go. So
okay, Jonathan, we'll continue with that. Right. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Giving us your E6 insight.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and Jonathan, he already left.
Yeah, he's got a range of dinner.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say I may send a personal message to him with a few other questions. So that's all I was gonna tell him. So okay, should we continue?
Yes, I think. Did you get to the bottom of 8?
I finished 8. Yep.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a difference here. But I think the way Keirsey is talking about it is speculation and innovation in terms of doing something that's new and risky. Not so much interested in the ideas thing. And just for a little bit of... So how much time do we have, Laura?
Well, I've got plenty of time. It's right now in my time zone, it's 5 minutes to 10 a.m. Right. So I've got the whole... And let's see, where you are, it would be almost 4 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is about the only real difference between the Golenko SEI, sensory, ethical introvert, and the Keirsey ISFJ. There's a little bit of difference with NE+, but everything else matches. So, for instance, all that stuff that Keirsey was writing about administering people, SI-, very sensitive to the physical discomforts, attentive caring. That's the stuff that's in it. That is in the Keirsey, what we've just been reading. The FI stuff. Then the stuff in here about. I like this joke. Well learns from his mistakes. Very sorry if double step on the same rake.
Yeah. But I mean, that's me, because I do not like to make mistakes, and I don't like to repeat mistakes. And especially if a mistake was quite unpleasant, I'm going to make sure I don't do that again.
Right. There's little weird bits that come up like this. Selects a job where there are no hard and prolonged periods of concentration.
This kind of depends, because if it's something I'm really interested in, I can concentrate for very long periods of time. But I don't like being forced into concentration. It has to be on my own terms. Like, I want to choose what I want to concentrate on and when I want to do it.
Yeah, so
which is almost impossible to find in the work world unless you work for yourself.
Right. So this is the bit. Now, what I have noticed when talking to an ISFJ resembling person in real life is she does all of that stuff, but it's not like they have a huge amount of energy. It's not like they want to do all the housework and stuff and all of that and all that. It's like, well, it's the end product of that and where it then gets them to.
Right. Well, like for me, like I'm good at keeping a clean house. And I'm better at it than my mom, who's an SFJ, and she's really messy, and and she's got all this junk laying around, and she saves all these things because it might come into use someday. And I'm like, that's so much stuff. It literally gets in the way. And then you have it, but then you forget that you have it, or you forgot where you put it. So then it's no good. And, and I'm like, and it's cheap. You could just, if you ever needed it, you could always just buy it again. And you know, and so it's kind of weird that I'm but the thing is, I don't enjoy housework. I don't really get pleasure from it. It just needs to get done. I just do it, and then I move on to more interesting things. So
yeah, I mean, like this, I mean, when I see something like this, I just think I'm half and half on this, because I do see it in those people. And I've talked to Bradley about this, is ISFJs and ISTJs have their moments when they do this.
Yeah.
They'll have like this completely other side to them, and it's like, what? I've seen you as this like standard operating procedure person. Then they have this, but it's almost as if it's almost like a relief from their thing. And so they have this little bit of NE, but it's only there for a small amount of time. But what I would say in terms of when an INTP,
whereas I would have a lot more energy for this. Yeah. I would focus a lot more than they would on all this stuff. It would, yeah, because this is what I find interesting.
It's just these little things where one has to be careful when somebody resembles INTP and they write in a profile. When they come to write the NE+, then it's going to be what they write in here is going to be influenced by the theory of, oh, this is manipulative NE+. NE has to do with ideas and opportunities and interest. So I better write something in here that relates to that. So that might then be overplayed from what you see in real life. However, what I would say is they are interested in learning new things. They have that little bit of NE there, that little bit of curiosity. But that can also be like a defensive thing of like a little bit of 6.5.
I think this is where where too socionics differs from MBTI, because MBTI makes it sound like they're not interested in that stuff, but then in socionics they emphasize more that any manipulative, that any seeking.
Yeah, but it's about the only saving
and
grace.
I think that's why earlier on, actually, like I said, that to me the MBTI profile of ISFJ seem more patronizing, and I think it was because they're not intellectual and they're not curious, and they just mindlessly follow rules and regulations and are resistant to change. And in socionics, it's less that because of this, because they're emphasizing more that creative NE. They just kind of need maybe some help with it because it's not as strong, but they value it. And
I mean, if we were to like do a study on like 100 ISFJ resembling people, I don't think they're all going to be like this. There's going to be some of them are going to be like that, and I would argue the more intelligent ones. I shouldn't say intelligent. I should say intellectual, because when I actually say intelligent, that's the thing is when INTP resemblers say intelligent, they mean intellectual. So I should say what I mean. Do you think that's the case, Laura? That we tend to?
Well, I'm going to have to ask you to clarify how are you defining intelligent versus intellectual? How do you see them as different?
I see them as very different in that.
Okay.
So, for instance, when I say a type, when I say something like, in an extreme way, I might say ESFPs can be intelligent too. I don't mean intelligent, I mean intellectual in certain, because there's a difference, because people can be smart at lots of different things in terms of like in a hands-on way. It's just that INTPs tend to be intelligent in an intellectual way. Where it's like your classic academic stuff with lots of theories, where you can have people who are very smart members of Mensa who are not interested in theory and theoretical discussions.
So intelligent. So you're seeing intelligent more as one's actual ability to understand and grasp things, whereas intellectual is kind of more like a preference, like an area of focus. Like intellectuals traditionally academic, theoretical, so it's a more abstract focus.
Yeah. I would say I see all intellectual. It's not when somebody is described as an intellectual. What we think of somebody who reads a lot of books and talks a lot of theory. Whereas you can have an ESTP that's really smart member of Mensa. So my dad was in Mensa, ESTP.
Yeah.
So not interested in theoretical discussions, interested in the mathematics of gambling and things like that. But that's more like, I would reckon, the inferior NI, the intuition of time. But I should say intellectual, because people can be very smart without being intellectual. So you can have people like, say, ISTPs. They can be like really into computer programming and coding and stuff, but they're not reading philosophy and having theoretical discussions. And so you can have people who are smarter than so-called intellectuals. It's just that they're not intellectual. It's not the self-consciously intellectual people the way that IN types especially can be. Yeah, it's just that the intuitives, they're more self-consciously intellectual. But what I end up doing, though, is the mistake I make is I say intelligent when I mean intellectual. And the Keirsey actually studied intelligence as his PhD. And that's why he came up with the strategic and the logistical and all of these different kinds of intelligence. Are you there, Laura? I think you've frozen a little bit.
Oh, can you see me now?
Now I can see you. So this NE plus stuff, so my experience is they seem a little bit, I would say that usually the Enneagram type of ISFJ is 6 wing 5. And so that 5 wing can sort of come in here with the NE. And they are interested in the odd little things, but it's about degree.
Right. Now, what about the 6-wing 7? Because it
That's I would say that
like able to do work which is more diverse and interesting. I kind of see that more as 7-ish. Like I see the 7-wing is kind of more about variety and avoiding boredom, and the 5-wing seems more intellectual or kind of more depth and maybe seeing things from a new perspective. Right. That might be 5-ish, whereas 7 is kind of more like novelty.
Something
kind of like novelty for its own sake.
Yeah, there's little caveats in here with I've just noticed 2 big caveats in that second bullet point. Periodically is interested in something unusual. So that little bit every now and then able to do work which is more diverse and interesting. Yes, they're able to, but we could do a little survey of it. I mean, for instance, what I would say from observation of what I've observed with these SJs, they can have like these weird little hobbies that will like surprise you. And they really get into some, like Dario talked about an ISFJ that also had like a weekend radio comedy show. So these surprising abilities. But something like this, likes new products and non-standard situations. Well, to me, I know why it's in there, because it's NE plus, and NE plus is about new products and non-standard situations. However, there's a little bit of a contradiction here, or a little bit of a... So, for instance, here, likes new products and non-standard situations. But when we go to the TI plus, a rigorous procedure is not an obstacle for him, as he will be able to understand any stable system. Clearly designed instructions, clarity of the situation. So this bit sounds very SJ, very standard operating procedure.
Because, like, for me, like I get uneasy if a procedure is really rigorous, right? Because it's just more opportunities to do it wrong. You know, I mean, if a procedure is rigorous and it's got a lot of steps to it, and there's a lot of pressure to get it right, it just makes me anxious. But the second part, I can understand systems well, and I do like things that are clear, and clarity is important. But I also get impatient or anxious when things are overly complex, or especially when they're needlessly complex, or it's not explained why you're doing the steps that you're doing. And I think, you know, at least the educational system that I was brought up in, I think it emphasized TE more than TI, because it was about procedures and it was about step by step. But I never really got a lot of learning about why are we doing these steps? What's the underlying principle here? And I think I would have benefited if more of that TI was brought in. So I mean, I kind of had to learn to adapt to the TE way of doing things. Did you find that in your education?
Well, I was a bit slack until I got to university. But yeah, I mean, like the abstract types, they want to know why. Yeah. Because
so maybe it's more of an abstract thing.
I think it's easier for us to understand the reason for something rather than just the fact. If we understand why, then we sort of have that enlightenment, and that's like changed us, and then we remember it. So with this, I can say number 2. Likes new products and non-standard situations. That's a little bit of a. When I look at that, it's like this might be this wagging the horse. I don't know how true this is of SEIs.
Yeah, I don't know if they like non-standard situations that much.
Yeah.
And even I kind of have reservations about that.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what they are. Because to me, it could just be a whole bunch of chaos, and it kind of threatens that security that I'm seeking. But yet I do like novelty. I like new products. But I don't like the unexpected that much, or surprises, like suddenly being caught off guard.
Now I'm gonna do some.
Non-standard situations. I kind of think of, oh, I'm being caught off guard. This is totally unexpected, and I got to quickly adapt, and kind of like maybe it's more like an artisan kind of thing, which I'm not very. It's more tactical, and I'm not so good at that.
Right. On that third one, able to do work which is more diverse and interesting. If we're talking about, if we had a look at 100 ISFJ resemblers, they are, if you were to look at the things that they could do well, I think there probably would be a lot of variance, because it's like they tend to concentrate on fewer things and do them really well. So that would be the device. So I'm doing a content reframe here about what they mean. So it's like, so you can have like one ISFJ who's really into this particular thing, and then somebody else who's into something completely different. It's like, whoa, they're very, very different and diverse as a group in terms of interest. But how much is it like where you've got an ISFJ where they're switching from interest to interest to interest to interest? And I'm thinking that's not really the case, because there's not really enough time to do that for them, because they're not an ENTP. ENTP would have lots of different interests and switch to one to one to one to one to one and do about 5 different things in one day. But so it depends what they mean there by diverse. I mean, it's diverse in terms of, like I said, 10 different ISFJs can be into completely different things. And because Dario said this about the brain of the SJs, he says that they're the most diverse of the types. But that's
interesting.
But that's only because of they get really into one thing and it leaves its mark on the brain. And so if you've got 100 SJs all into different things, well, those different things that they're into are going to leave the mark on the brain, because they tend to do the same activity again and again and again and again, and they get proficiency at it, and then it affects the networks in the brain. And so that's why you see the variance, is because of the correct. Whereas the other angle, ENFPs, their brains look very similar, but in terms of how you would see them interacting in an environment, they are very good and adaptable, ENFPs. But there's not. It's almost as if there's diversity within the individual, because the individual can do lots of things, but then when you compare one to another, there's not as much diversity. So it's a different. It depends on the level that you're looking at for diverse, I would say. Well, so we'll get back to Keirsey, and so okay. I think we got. Oh yeah, speculation, and I'll say.
Yeah, that's not true for me.
Yeah,
do not intrigue protectors. I'm interested in that. Very interested.
Speculation, innovation do not intrigue protectors, who would rather leave such risky matters to others. So
now that part I do agree with, because I don't like taking unnecessary risks.
Right. So I
like innovation, like if I know it's safe.
Right.
Well, but the thing is, I wouldn't say I never take risks, because I do take risks, but they're always calculated risks where I've thought about it, and I've thought about the possible consequences, like what I can handle and what I can't handle. How much am I willing to risk losing if it doesn't work out? And so I am all about innovation, especially when what we have is not working, or if it could be a lot better than what it is now.
Yeah.
Then I'm all for the change. And
also, you asked about 617. I think that the 7, if they are 617, it's going to be the soft pleasures of, oh, let's have this nice soft blanket in my comfortable chair and a nice bit of wine and song. It's not SP kind of of 7 kind of stuff. It's I think it's like your gentle, soft pleasures, nice food, comfort, that kind of thing. Maybe, it's more of a subdued kind of thing where SPs would be rolling their eyes at just how tame it was.
Right.
If you want to get a little bit more, maybe going out, enjoying walks, hiking. So this is an example of 2 people can do the same activity for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So an SJ can do, especially say an ISFJ, can do the hiking thing for SI reasons of taking in the comfort and the environment. And an SP can do the same thing, but for the reason of the challenge.
Right. Well, like imagine like an SP, like going like backpacking for several days at a time, and they're going out in a remote area and like maybe with minimal supplies and SJ, like they're just hiking, I don't know, around a lake or something. I mean,
and they'll have all the supplies.
And they have all the supplies, or they're near supplies, like, and they're
yeah, but they also mean like again with the self prayers, like they want to be, what would they call it? I think they call it in the United States an outdoorsman, where it's like learning how to survive on their own, the self-preservation thing, like catching the food, skinning it, whatever, the rabbit, cooking it, all that kind of survivalist kind of stuff. Right then, I'll
okay. For their part, ISFJs value tradition, both cultural and familial. Again, I don't value tradition just for the sake of tradition, but I do like traditions that have personal meaning to me, that have stood the test of time. Like
stood the test of your time in your experience, or
well, either.
Right,
it could be me, it could be society,
right,
or stuff that's just like I celebrate Christmas with my family every year. That would be a tradition I value, for example, because it means something to me. They carry with them a sense of history, a sense of continuity with past events and relationships. Yes, I kind of have. And this may even relate somewhat to the Socionics NI, because kind of like how things have changed and developed over time.
Let's see if I've...
And that's all interesting to me.
Yeah, there you go. You got my color code there. We agree on that. Roll NI, yes. Yep.
Okay. Oh, can you scroll up just a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. They seem to have innate regard for the past, whatever is long established and deeply rooted. Well, I'm not sure about, I mean, again, this kind of comes, maybe it's my pragmatism coming in here, but it's more like if it's been shown to work and it's effective, but just because it's long established doesn't mean we should continue doing it. But I will say that I do think a lot about the past and then kind of compare the past to the present and kind of thinking a lot about how things are changing over time. And and comparing that.
Oh yeah, that's an NLP. There's things in NLP called meta programs where people will look for what's different. Now Sana does it, and she resembles INFJ, Keirsey, INFJ, and II, where, and like even in Hangouts, it's like she'll say, "Oh, I'll only speak up if I disagree with something." So it's like she's looking for what doesn't match. Whereas someone like me, it's like I might be. Well, I mean, I think I do both, but sometimes I'm looking for what matches. What are the commonalities? So it's just what is the meta program that someone's running? Is it like, are they looking for what matches, what doesn't match? And so like each of the Enneagram types tends to focus on different things. And
I mean, I read a profile and then I kind of compare it. Excuse me. I compare it to myself. How much do I relate to this?
Yeah.
What don't I relate to? What degree do I relate to it? Or is it something that's kind of ambiguous where it's very, very dependent on the context? And actually, for the majority of statements, I mean, they are highly dependent on the context. A lot of them, it really depends on the context of the situation. How much I agree or disagree with it.
Have you ever done the family tree thing?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you ever done the family tree thing? Oh, that was a little bit further. I don't know how far you got down in.
I have, I have dabbled some in genealogy, but I'm not as intensely focused on it. Like my mom, for example, she's really, really like obsessed with it, and she's
right. That's the sort of thing I mean with the SJs, where it's like they'll have an interest. It's not quite. I mean, ESFJ is somebody like Elena, where it's like they just have more energy because, as Leon Sal says, type tips, they have the energy of 3 people. So it's like they tend to pack more in.
Yeah, they are honored to care for collections of rare old things, books, paintings, china, and so on. Seeing to it that they're safely shelved and regularly dusted. Now, see, this is something like I'm interested in like old artifacts and stuff, but it's more like just looking at them or looking at pictures or going to museums. I'm not sure I have a whole lot of energy to actually do the physical care, of all of it. It's safely shelved and regularly dusted. I mean,
I should have put that under NE, because that's like, when it says like, like little things, the collections of things, the books, paintings, a little bit of that NE there.
Well, I mean, like I do have like my own personal collections of a few things. Like I have some souvenirs or knickknacks from various places that I visited. But I'm also careful about what I purchase, because like I don't like having things that end up being a burden, like that require high maintenance, or I've got no place to store it, to put it, and like my mom and my dad, they're both kind of much more of a hoarder than I am. Like they have all these things and some things they feel like they can't get rid of, especially with my mom, because they've been passed down from generation to generation. And I'm like, well, this is an antique. I can't get rid of it. Yeah. But she doesn't value the object in itself. She's like, I don't really want it, but I can't get rid of it. Yes, you can. It doesn't, if it doesn't serve a purpose to you, if it's just gathering dust, you're not using it, you don't like it. And it comes from your grandparents who are long dead. They're not going to know. I mean, so we kind of have a different outlook on that,
I might keep it if they really liked it, and it's like, especially if they wanted me to keep it and pass it down, I might.
Like if they're still living, yeah. Because what if they were to ask me about it, and like, but if they're long dead, and my parents, it's just like they've just got so much clutter piled up that you open the closet and things start falling out, and it's like You know,
that manipulative NE falls out all their launcher NE.
whereas I like keep it more simple. I have like fewer things and kind of make sure, you know, these are things that I'm using or I'm very likely to want to use in the future. And whereas they have all these things, well, I could possibly use it someday, and you know very well they're never going to, and they still hold on to all the stuff, and it's like, you know, I go to their house and sometimes it feels kind of claustrophobic, like I'm, you know, trying to walk through a narrow space because it got this stuff. And
yeah, it's also,
you know,
SIs.
I mean, it's interesting because it's kind of like in some way I feel better. I'm better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Than, you know, at keeping a clean and tidy place, and yet I have weaker SI. You know, I mean,
I think in them it's like with the SJs collecting stuff, it's like you've got all the associative memories with the item, and then also and I mean, the possibilities of feeling that, oh, this could be useful.
Yeah, and I see that too, but maybe for me it's a little more pragmatic. It's kind of more like, well, how likely am I to really use it? Is it worth the space to hold on to it? How replaceable is it? Now, if it's something that's really rare, that's going to be very hard to replace. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be far more likely to hold on to it. And if it's something I have a strong sentimental feeling about, I'm going to hold on to it. But I mean, I mean, it's kind of like my parents have, like, oh, no, I forgot what I was going to say, but I mean, yeah, it's just different.
Somebody just sent me a message saying they've got a hard copy of Please Understand Me Too, and I'm just replying with a smiley face times 10 because I'm a bit of a Keirsey advocate. hence putting Keirsey in the avatar.
Well, the things that the keepers of simple family things, yeah. Well, like photographs, I love looking like at old photographs, and I do like to keep those. Furniture, again, see, furniture takes up more space, so I may not be as inclined to keep furniture or tools. I don't know. It depends on what they are, I suppose. Wedding dresses. I don't know if I would save a wedding dress. Like, I would save a picture of a wedding dress.
Yeah, but it's like, it depends what the marriage is like.
Her wedding dress, and then it started to get all yellow and stuff over time, you know, because it, you know, it never got washed. It kind of aged, and I don't know. Well, I've never been married, but I don't know if I'd save my dress. I mean, I definitely save pictures of me wearing my dress, but
right.
Of all types, ISFJs are most likely to care about tracing family trees. Yep, that's definitely my mom. Okay, number 10. Are you ready to go on to number 10?
Yep.
Okay. We're kind of going way off on tangents here.
No, it's okay. It brings up the theme of it all comes into the theme of what we were looking at before.
Yeah. Protectors are devoted to mate and family and are usually excellent homemakers. Well, again, it's like, I'm good at it. I can do it, but I don't like it. Right. You know, it's not fun. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely devoted to my family, but I'm not so much devoted that I lose sight of myself and my own needs. I mean, that's still very important, that, you know, are my own needs being met? ISFJ female often displays a flair for making the interior of the home attractive in a traditional manner and often gives herself full time to the duties of housewife. Oh my gosh. Gosh, this is so like traditional. I mean,
wait a minute. It did, so that the previous page was about general practitioner.
Yeah, you're right.
And all that kind of stuff.
Full time. No, I mean, I got a career and flair for making the interior of the home attractive in a traditional manner. Well, I mean, I do like to. I mean, I can do the making my home attractive. I like to make it attractive, but I also don't like to put a whole lot of time and energy there either. And I don't really care if it's traditional or not. I mean, so
just remind the audience that Laura is not an ISFJ. She resembles an INTP. Just has ISFJ traits.
I just play one on YouTube.
Yes. But yeah, this is the whole thing, folks. This is the running theme. Like Laura's E6 and self-preservation, and also the way she's brought up, where she has these ISFJ traits, but there's certain circumstances where it comes through, like when she's on her own and it's not going to cost her a job and she like wants to do things her own way, and we'll think about it and we'll question things.
Okay. She provides attractive, nourishing meals, sees to the shopping, does the laundry, mends the clothes, and follows a daily routine for keeping the house clean and tidy, with rooms straightened up, dishes done, and beds made. Okay. With meals and stuff, I mean, I rarely cook. I mean, I usually, sometimes I eat things that don't require cooking, you know, or preparation. I can eat it out of the box, or I can heat something quick in the microwave, or I go get takeout food. You know, I'm bad that way. I'm lazy. Sees to the shopping. Well, yeah, I mean, well, like I live by myself, so yeah, I got to do all the shopping because nobody else is going to do it for me. I mean, if I need something, I go out and buy it. You know, it's that simple. Does the laundry. Well, again, I have to do the laundry because I live by myself, so no one else is going to do it. Mends the clothes. I don't know how to sew. I mean, the only thing I know how to sew is a button. I can sew on a button. But basically, mends the clothes. Now, sometimes I get my mom to do it because she knows sewing, you know. But oftentimes, if it doesn't look like it's very fixable, I just toss it and get a new one. Follows the daily routine for keeping the house clean and tidy. I don't have a daily routine. I just kind of do it as it's needed as I go along. I don't set aside a certain time of the day. Oh, I'm going to do this cleaning from this time to this time. But like I mentioned before, I am good at keeping the house clean and tidy because I like it, you know. I mean, I like it when things look clean and not messy. I don't like unnecessary clutter. I like being able to find what I need and have space to move around. Beds made. I don't typically make my bed unless maybe I'm having guests over. Then I'll make it, but so that part sometimes I let slide a bit. Okay. And then the ISFJ male takes on all the ISFJ male takes on all other duties of keeping the home. He usually handles the finances, cares for the yard, often tends a vegetable garden, maintains the car, and is usually handy when it comes to minor repairs in masonry, carpentry, painting, plumbing, electrical work, and the like. I mean, this is just kind of sexist almost. I mean, this is just...
Yeah, but even those still going to be...
There's so much gender roles here. But again, like I handle all the finances because I have to. I live by myself, and I live in an apartment, so I don't have a yard. So that's kind of irrelevant. I don't have a garden. Maintains the car. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, But I know nothing about car repairs.
Right.
And maintenance is just like the standard oil changes and stuff that you need to do from time to time. And I'm not at all handy. I suck at repairs and all that stuff. I just get somebody else. I either get somebody else to fix it for me, or I buy a new one. And I live in an apartment, and so like with plumbing and electrical work, I mean, we got maintenance people that the apartment complex hires that does all that stuff. So I don't have to do all that stuff. So that's nice. You ready to move on?
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, it's a little bit sexist, but you still notice these trends, though. So, for example, my mother sort of do both of those because my father wouldn't do any of the house repairs or the gardening stuff. So she did both of them.
Yeah. Okay, number 11. In their parenting role, these friendly and soft-spoken protectors expect their children to conform to the rules of society, feeling a personal responsibility to see to it that these standards are not only adhered to, but honored. With their children to conform. Well, I don't have any children, so I'm answering kind of hypothetically, but I mean, if the rules, again, and I've said this before several times, but if the rules, make sense and it's for the well-being of people, yeah, I want them to conform. I want them to conform to that. But I also think children should be able to be independent and to be able to question authority, especially when authority is not right, rather than just blindly following rules because they're rules. Such parents worry a great deal and may try too hard to protect their children from the dirt and dangers of life. I think my mom was like this. I mean, I felt like she was kind of overprotective sometimes, and I felt like I wish that she would have let me experiment more and try things on my own, and and maybe that's why I came out kind of 6-ish, was because of her influence. She reinforced that anxiety rather than. I mean, and I think if I was a parent, I mean, yeah, I would be protective. I mean, but it would also allow them to try things on their own and to make mistakes and to learn from their mistakes, provided it's not too dangerous. Now, let's say I have a young child and they're running outside and they're running towards the street and there's a bunch of cars coming. Yeah, I'm probably going to stop them from doing that because I don't want to see them get run over.
Right.
But if they're just running in the yard, I'm just going to let them run around. They fall down,
Would you put them on that?
Maybe they'll learn, if I do this, I'm going to fall down and get hurt or something. I mean, there's a difference there. So
would you have them on that rope thing that they used to have where it was like they're on a harness and they could only run so far?
Right. I mean, okay. Protector mothers in particular need to learn how to encourage their children's independence and to cup their apron strings. This is definitely my mom. And I still feel like sometimes she's kind of checking up on me and stuff, because even though I live on my own, she's 20 minutes away and she is often calling me and asking how I'm doing. And then she comes over and then she checks to make sure I've got enough food. And I'm like, I can handle this all myself, and she is kind of still wants to play that mothering role. She still wants that, so it's kind of like she's never really cut it off.
I won't go into too much detail, but Laura had some videos on her YouTube channel. I feel like
she doesn't really totally respect those boundaries sometimes.
I think you said that some of your relatives found your videos on your YouTube channel and you had to take them down with the Enneagram ones. So that was some good stuff.
Yeah. Occasionally, an ISFJ mother may be able to find humor in the wayward son, but she still raises her daughters to respect traditions and do the right thing at the right time and always for the right reason. I read this, and this sounds very sexist and unfair. Like, why do the sons get to be wayward, but the
that is how they are, though, isn't it?
Respect traditions, you know.
Well, the sons don't get pregnant.
I guess.
But they're going to be in trouble if they get a woman pregnant, and then it's like, all right,
do the right thing at the right time and always for the right reason. Kind of like, well, that's a lot of pressure. You can't make mistakes, you know. I mean, you always have to be right, you know. Seems kind of rigid.
Oh, I got some notes there. There we go.
Okay, so model A again. Okay, so where it says manipulative NE plus underneath that, in my own typology, I classify by the book behavior as lower level valued NE that loves generalization and opposes SE situational specifics that break the rule. Well, I mean, I guess I like generalization in terms of principles and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm careful not to overgeneralize, and I do focus a lot on specific content because I do know that like a rule's a rule, just a rule, and it can't apply to every single possible situation, you know. There are exceptions that got to be made.
Actually, I've got that wrong. You know, it says there about SCI profile. That's not right. That's in the SLI profile.
Okay.
Yeah, because we just looked at that. That's not right. I'll have to rub that bit out.
But okay, SLI.
Yeah, SLI is a little tricky one. That's like an ISTP E9.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's one of those ones that doesn't match.
Yeah, my father might be that type actually.
They exist. I mean, like Farah.
Yeah, I think he's like a likely SLI and an E9. In the SHS SCI profile, it states that the SCI would not like to work on a production line with monotonous work. Yeah, that's me. I can do it if I have to, but it's so boring and so repetitive. That I would not like to do that for very long.
Yeah, I think what I did is I made a mistake there with that. So I think this is okay. So this is SLI. And this is quite different from
oh, this is SLI. Okay.
Yeah, it might be somewhere else with the. That's it. Oh, it's under P. I even had it in the wrong one. Free craft activities closer to it than organized by the conveyor.
Closer to it than
yeah, this one was done with a little bit of a combination of Elena telling me what it was in a private hangout and then going off the Google Translate. So
yeah, and this it's just that the wording is kind of awkward. I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's because the Google Translate. But I did the best I could.
Okay, right. Free and organized. Okay. Monotonous, unskilled work. Okay. Okay, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense now what they're getting at. Kind of like.
But like I said,
like I'm crafty and kind of want to put my own creativity on it rather than just doing the same thing repetitively.
So for instance, the SEI profile, this one is like 95% like the Keirsey profile we've just gone through. The only real difference is this little bit here. I would say this bit's true, periodically interested. And it's so, for instance, this is the bit that makes it sound like Keirsey ISFJ. You've got all the stuff with SI minus, like taking care of people, attentive caring, all that kind of stuff. And you've got the TI plus stuff, which sounds very Guardian. So, and you've got sociable with people, maybe stuff there with the FI. I mean, they do like a slow pace. Okay, well, you saying that your mother matches ISFJ, or in between the two. How well does she match this, though? Is that true of her?
I think it fits, but I don't see her as like actively seeking it out on her own. She like I think she'd be okay like if somebody showed it to her. But she kind of just goes along periods of time, just kind of doing the same kinds of things. Like it seems like she doesn't pursue a lot of that on her own unless somebody brings it to her.
Yeah, my little theory would be that there'd be like maybe one or two things.
I don't think she would be against it.
Yeah.
Maybe the part about non-standard situations, she'd probably react. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not.
But the rest, I think.
Yeah, but it's like some of these things. You get these things where with the model, it's like, why is it in there? It's in there because it says so. Because it's in
there because Galenko put it there.
Yeah. It's like with, I mean, sometimes it works very well. So, for example, FE plus in the manipulative on our territory can only keep it lively conversation as the topic of personal concern to it. So it's like, on our territory, Laura, we can do the FE thing. It's in the box, but it's also true. So this is where it can work. And it works very well for the INTP profile. I'll just say here, so whereas SLI, this is why I put S and L rather than SI and TI, because it does not match up with ISTJ. And in fact, I did a color code of it, and we went through this in the Hangout with Dr. G. I think it was like Dr. G number 20. It might have been like Vitigalenko number 20. It might have been, or something like that. Where we then when we have Farah there. So these are different things on the channel, and people can have a look at that. The six. We'll do a hangout with Laura on this in future on the 6th.
Yeah.
But I will end the screen at the moment. So I'll switch that off.
Oh,
so
can
Laura,
you bring up the ISFJ profile again? Do we go through all that? Or was there
which ISFJ? Is it the Galenko one?
The Keirsey one.
Okay. Right, share screen. Could I do that? I think I'll try that. This is a little bit different. So this is Emily painting my... Is it showing on screen? Oh, it's not... She is painting me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's impressive. She's really good.
The photo that she was using as reference didn't show my blue eyes. So, well, they're not super blue, so... Anyway, so you wanted to see. I'll show the bit that you wanted to see, and then we can stop after that. So it's. I closed it. So it was just. Was it the Keirsey one?
Yeah, it was.
Right, I'll just show you. We've got that video playing in the background. Stop. Right. I
just wanted to make sure we got through it all.
Yeah, because the graphic was right at the end. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So and then just the very bottom of that.
I'll zoom in. Yeah, the very bottom of it was. Oh right, I see. Yes. Right, gotcha. Number 11, yeah.
Yeah, if you keep go down below that.
Then we did that, and that was right at the bottom.
Scroll down. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, I just didn't see all that the first time. Okay. Oh, okay. William James stated that attention is the essential feature of willpower. Oh, in reference to power sensing for socionics, and then Nardi Barron's SC, immersing yourself in the present context.
It's like what you see about SPs. It's like the Guardians will say they can't concentrate at all. They've got no purpose in life. But here's Bradley. Bradley Rogers has joined us at the tail end of the hangout. And,
are you finishing up?
Yes, we're just about finishing up in a few minutes, and then we'll have an offline. We were just saying here about concentration is the essential feature of willpower. And when SPs are, I would say, especially when it's external, when they are focused, they focus better than anybody. Especially if it's externally based and they're in the zone. They're the best. I'll put it like this: they're the best at being in the zone physically.
Yeah, probably. So, what did I? You still going through the Keirsey profile?
Yeah, we've finished the Keirsey profile. Well, we have 5 viewers at the moment. Bradley was about the only one that wrote in the live chat. So I'm looking at you, 5 viewers, for not writing in the live chat.
If you're still watching, be sure to give a thumbs up.
Well, thank you very much, Laura. And I would say that it was a pretty good hangout, and I'll stop it. Now, is there anything else you would like to say, Laura, about the video?
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we got there in like the differences, like the little things about how you resemble ISFJ, but why it's for E6 and self-pres reasons. And then a little bit of differences. So this is the benefit, folks, of knowing different systems and then to triangulate someone's best fit type. Right then. Press stop and have a chat with Bradley and Laura.